Okay, good morning to everyone. My name is Paulino Silva. I'm here to speak a little bit about the need of financial literacy skills. I will try to demonstrate during this presentation that we really need financial literacy skills. So the agenda, I will make a brief introduction, then I will talk about what the definition about financial literacy. We have already heard about it, and some questions about financial literacy. Do we really need it? Why? Is financial literacy equally useful for everyone? I will give you some examples, 2 examples of an employee and 1 entrepreneur. And then we will conclude the presentation. So the first question is, what is financial literacy? And when we ask something, we go to the Google and then we search for Wikipedia, because Wikipedia has the answer to everything, almost everything. And sometimes the answer is a good one, sometimes it isn't. So for Wikipedia, financial literacy is the ability to understand how money works in the world. So a very simple definition of financial literacy. But after that, they say that more specifically, it refers to the set of skills and knowledge that allows an individual to make informed and effective decisions with all of their financial resources. A little bit better, this part of the definition. But it's not all. According to Investopedia.com, which is another website that is related to financial issues, financial literacy is the possession of knowledge and understanding of financial matters. A very simple definition, of course, but just give you an idea about what we can find in simple internet definitions. But OECD tells also very important things about financial literacy. They have in their website a specific menu for financial education, and there's a lots of projects related with financial education and financial literacy. So this is also important, not only in a basic view, but also as one of the most important organizations, international organizations. The topic is very, very important. So do we really need it? What do you think? Do you think we need financial literacy? Yeah? Is it? You agree all with this response. And are you financial literate? Do you think you are? Or you are? Or do you think you are? This is the question. Are you financial literate? And it is important for your life. Do you think so? If it is important, probably is important for your life. And what are the most important things about financial literacy? What do you think? Financial literacy is a very wide topic, so we can talk about lots of things when we are talking about financial literacy. What are the most important things, do you think, about financial literacy? You can answer.
I think that, for example, that the loans are more expensive than they seem to be.
Yeah. It's a question of marketing or something of banks, probably, yeah. And we have to be literate, we have to be educated to distinguish between those things. Nice thing. More.
It is important to have a family budget and to know how much we receive each month and how much we can spend.
Yeah, and you didn't see my presentation because I will talk about that just in a few minutes. But it's very important also for our financial and personal budgeting issues, of course. I will give you 2 examples now, and I will start with an employee, and then I will talk about an entrepreneur. So an employee normally has a pay slip like this, and this is a very basic situation is the national minimum wage in Portugal. So it's 505 euros that a person can earn every month. So as you can see in this payslip, it's very simple. The details of the payslip are very simple. So for this person, he will not get 505 euros at the end. Because in this case, which is a little bit strange, as you can see, he will receive more than at the beginning point. So there is an increase of 8% according to this payslip, which is not a good thing because he earns not so much. But the reality is that the contribution for Social Security, which is a percentage of the total amount, is 11% for us in Portugal, but the amount of withholding tax, the income tax, is 0, because in these cases the people or the person don't pay this income tax. It's exempt of that. So that's why, according to another bonus that everyone have the right to receive, the meal subsidy, it comes to an increase of value, net value, at the end of the payslip of 8%. But of course we have 543.39 euros. What can we do with this? We have this, and then we have some expenses. House expenses, electricity, cable TV, phone. We have also transport, fuel, public transportation, tolls. We have also personal expenses, food, clothes, of course, shoes, hairdresser, and so. We have health treatments. We have children expenses. And at the end, we have some savings in this case, which are negative. What happens with this? This is a problematic situation because we need credit. It's not possible to have a negative value at the end of the month. So what this person needs to get is a credit at the end of the month. And this is a problem for most of people that doesn't know exactly where they are spending their money. So they have lots of things to spend the money, but they don't control that, and that's a big problem for them. So this is a situation that can be solved in a short time because we can get the credit, but this is not sustainable for the future, as you can imagine. If you have these needs of credits every month, at the end of the year you will have a bigger problem. So this is something that everyone needs to think about. And let's see another example. And this is a most common situation because here we have the national average wage in Portugal, which is 912 euros. So let's see the situation comparing with the other one. And in this situation, we have also contribution for Social Security. We have to pay some income tax. The amount of withholding tax is 114 euros. And then we have also the meal subsidy, which is the same as the other situation. So at the end, differently from the first situation, we have a decrease of 13%, which means that if we earn more money, you will get less money at the end, because sometimes people don't think about this. Of course, it's not as bad as the final situation of the first example, because we are talking about 590 something euros. Now we have 791. It's better. But sometimes when we are between these two levels of payments, we can get in trouble because we are paying more than we should pay because of these taxes that are subtracting the value of the initial amount. So in this situation, we can get the same expenses. I will put exactly the same expenses of the first situation, and what we have at the end is not a need of credit, because the value that the person receives is higher than the previous one. So in this case, the person can save a little bit about this money. Okay? Any questions about this? This is just to give you an example, and how the things are here, but sometimes people don't know exactly where they spend the money. They don't do the budgeting, and that's one important thing they need to do. They don't need the budget, they don't make the budget, and they don't control the budget, which is another situation that is very important. We need to do, but we need to control, because sometimes there are some expenses of this that can be controlled. There are other ones that cannot be. So they are, we have to take into account that. I will give you another example, and now I will talk about an entrepreneur. And this is, I was developing a model based on CVP analysis, which is very used in management accounting. What I did was using this model and apply it to a personal thing. So what is cost volume profit analysis is a very, very simplified model and useful for a short-term decision making. And in this case, one of the most important concepts here is the break-even point. And the break-even point happens where sales are equals to total costs. So at this point there is neither profit nor loss, and the equation for demonstrating this break-even point is this. We should multiply a quantity to the sales price, and then if we equals this value to fixed costs plus variable costs that vary according to the quantity, we will have the break-even point. So graphically, I think it's better to understand this. Let's see that if we have fixed costs, as you can see, they maintain the same level independently of the units we can produce or sell. Another thing is the variable costs, and the variable costs, as the name indicates, we are increasing the level of costs according to the number of units produced or sold. Or in this case, as you can see, if we produce 0, we don't have any costs, variable costs. So if we sum all costs, variable and fixed costs, we will find this. This is the sum of variable and fixed costs. So we have total costs here, which is the sum of fixed costs with variable costs. Of course, if we produce or sell 0, we will have a cost, the cost of fixed cost. Only the fixed cost, but we have a cost. So if we compare this with the sales, which are the result, the profit of the company, so we will find a point, and this point is called break-even point, the point where total costs are equal to sales. And this is important because of what? Because if we have more than these units produced or sold, we have profits. But if we do less than that, we have losses. So this is a very known model that I try to apply in the case of an entrepreneur. So what I did was to use this and adapt to entrepreneur reality. And in this case, the break-even point is the point where income equals to total expenses. The principle is the same, the variables are a little bit different. Let me explain you the things. So at this point, there is neither savings or need of credit, profit or loss. So we have here a situation where an entrepreneur can work a number of hours, and there is a pay rate per hour. Of course, in this case, to have these hours work, he will have some variable expenses per hour. And this is depending the level of variable cost depending the number of hours he works. So these are variable costs. But he has, as everybody has, fixed costs, and we cannot change that. So let's see what will happen. In this case, the chart is almost the same, so we can have the fixed expenses, variable expenses, total expenses, income, and we have the same, almost the same chart. So let's see an example. Imagine that a professional can work a certain number of hours every month and gets a payment of 25 euros per hour. So this professional has some variable costs, variable expenses per hour worked. In this case, he has contribution for social security, 7.5. He has the amount of withholding tax, 6.25, and other variable expenses like the fuel to go to work, tolls, and so 2 euros per hour. But fixed expenses, the fixed expenses are also there, because these expenses are the same that the other examples, the previous examples I've told you. It's not a question of giving up of these expenses. It's not possible. They have, all people have these kind of expenses. So these expenses are house expenses, transport expenses, personnel expenses, health, children, as a normal guy has. So it's not possible to do anything about that. So let's try to answer to two questions. The first one is, what is the number of hours the professional needed for achieving neither profit nor loss? This means the break-even point. What do you think? Do you know already? The maths?
It's necessary to sum up fixed cost and just to divide it.
Yeah, we need to use the formula that I've told you about, and the result is this. We are not in the basic maths module, so we don't need to do the accounts. So the accounts are already done. Well, this means that applying the formula, it's possible to know that this guy needs to work at least 68 hours per month to get zero of profit or loss. In this case, he will not get, or he will not need credit, and he will not have anything to save. So in this case, it's something interesting, because if you think about this, you can control if you need to rest or if you need to work, okay? So, but this is also important, because this is the point that you start to have profit or you start to have loss. So it's the break-even point, the most important point. So the other question is, or was, if the professional works the number of hours an employee works normally per month, that it means 170 hours, what will be his profit? So let's see what will happen in this case. In this case, we have to use the same formula, and we will get the 170 hours, and we have this amount, but because of this amount has some variable expenses related, of course, at the end of the month, you will get 943 euros net income. So this is the profit he will get if he works the number of hours that normally an employee gets. So this is very interesting, because you can use this model to at least to have some control the number of hours you can work, and of course the number of the working hours it will depend of the total profit or loss that you will get. So in this case, this is the model that I use to achieve this result. So, of course, in both situations, even the first situation of an employee or this situation of entrepreneur, there are some fixed expenses that you can control as well. But this is another question. So there are something that you can control. There is something that you can adjust if you need it. And of course, as you get this control thing, you will get more rich, probably. So it's a question of managing not only what you earn, but also how do you spend the money. Just some examples for you. Concluding, I would like to say that it was very important to know, or it's very important to know, the details of a payslip. I've showed you one of the most simple payslips that you can find. So imagine what are all those payslips with lots of lines, with lots of bonus and lots of deductions. So it's more complicated to understand that. But either if you earn the national minimum salary or a higher one. So it's very important to know that even that you earn the minimum wage, you have to know how to deal with that. And the other conclusion is that the starting point of a payslip can be higher or lower than the ending point. And we saw that in those two examples that I've showed you. And another conclusion, if you are working for yourself as a freelancer, entrepreneur or something like that, it's very useful to know the minimum number of hours that you need to work every month for, of course, avoiding being in lost need of credit. And this is the same as the first example. So, in a nutshell, I would like to say that education, and also financial one, is the most important and most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. These are not my words, of course, and you may know that. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Paulino.
If you have any questions, yeah?
Yeah, actually I have. Regarding this fixed and variable cost, actually it's not enough clear to me because it can be just opposite. If we have annual contract, it means that we have same salary each month, and our deduction to social health insurance is always the same, which means that this is actually a fixed cost.
That's why I've showed this example of CVP analysis only for entrepreneurs, not for employees. It's not possible to use in employees' situation, at least with some rigor. So that's why I didn't use that model for an employee. And it's possible to do that in an entrepreneur situation, but it's not possible to do that in an employee situation.
And for example, this cost for clothes, for shoes, this probably should be variable cost because we don't buy each month the same
but
amount.
Not variable in the concept of this model. I mean, when I talk about variability is related with the number of hours. It doesn't depend on the number of hours you work or the number of the value that you receive. This can be, of course, variable according to the simple concept of variability, but in this model you cannot say that they vary according to the number of hours that you work for that. So that's why when I explain this graph, this is very important because I try several different solutions, and as you are talking about that, yeah, but the thing is that when you are talking about these variable expenses, they are related with this income, okay? So they need to be related with this income. So when I talk about fixed expenses, it's not the traditional concept of fixed cost. In this case, is something that you cannot differentiate because of the income, the number of hours. Let's say, of course, you can say to me that every cost, every expense as a little bit of variable and a little bit of fixed. Sure, you are right. And this is a simplification, it's a model, so that's why we have to do that. But in some cases, in this case in particular, I use a simplification in order to use this to entrepreneurs situations. So that's why.
My understanding is that fixed costs are costs that we cannot change. As
Yeah.
for example,
Yeah, I understand that.
The fee for kindergarten, we cannot change this.
Yeah.
But variable are costs for shoes, for
Sure.
food, because we can change this cost each month.
In this model,
This is actually my
you're right. I would like to explain that, and that's important, your question, because the variability in this case is a kind of control, okay? What you can do in these cases of these fixed expenses is that you can control them, okay? So you can put less, or you can spend less money in those expenses, sure, but you have to control, and this situation is a little bit different. When you are talking about this model, if you change any of this expense, the fixed cost will be different. So the situation will be different, and the model will present a different number of hours, let's say, in that situation, okay? So that's why if you don't go to the hairdresser this month, you'll not spend let's say 50 euros, so it will be less 50 euros. In this case, the fixed expenses will be less than this situation, and you will get another different situation, and the different situation will be you probably will need to work less hours at the end of the month to have the same result. Yes?
I have just one comment on the fixed expenses. Maybe you say that in this case, in this model, the fixed expenses are the minimum that you have to reserve for the
it can be. It can be. Yeah, it was just an example, and as you can imagine, or you don't imagine, but it was very, very difficult for me to find a model applicable to a thing that is very usual in companies, because when we use this in management accounting, it's very common to identify the variable costs and fixed costs. In this case, it's not the same, and the thing is that what I did in this situation was to divide all the costs or all the expenses that are related with the work I do, and all the expenses that doesn't have any connection to the work I do. So of course, if you need some clothing for your work, you can have a little bit here of variable expense, okay? So, but the thing is that you have to divide to come with this model. You have to divide fixed expenses from variable expenses. Of course, you can use this in other situations, and you can, as you said, and thank you very much for your suggestion, you can put this as a level, a limit, a minimum level of expenses, and then you can have more or less according to the model.
Okay.
Yeah?
And does your model works on the assumption that the income per hour has to be bigger than the variability?
This is this model. This results. This level of unit values are dependent of this. Okay. So what happens? I test with value and I test with quantity as well. Normally, when we are talking about management accounting in companies, it's better and it's easier to find a very close relation with this in terms of quantity. This is not like that. So what I did was to find, of course, I know what is the percentage of contribution for Social Security, and I validate that. This level of this unit value is validated with the percentage that you normally have to pay according to this level of income. So what happens is that this is related with this is related with this directly, and with the percentage that we have here in Portugal. In one case it's 30%, in another case it's 25%. So you have this completely related with that.
Yes.
So it's you can validate that.
Is it every time lower than the income? Because the lines has to cross.
Yeah, it will be. This at least will be, because as I said, it's a percentage of the total. So you have in total here about 50% of the total. So 25, not 50%, but almost there, as you can see. If I change this to 10, let's say, this will be lower than this, okay? So it will not have the problem. The problem can happen here, because these other variable expenses are the ones that you have to consider besides those taxes and social security contributions. Because let's say if you are going to have, let's say you are a trainer, you go to Lisbon, let's say, and you have a trainer for 1 hour and you get 25 euros. The expenses that you will have to get 25 euros are much bigger than the 25 euros you will get. So this is variable cost because it depends on that you are going there, but those expenses are here and you have to take attention to that. Okay? Any other question, comment?